Yeah, hello and welcome to another episode of Cappuccino with HR. And today I'm really, really, really delighted because it took some time and it's in person, what I love most. And it's my dear old friend, Ali Mahlodji.
Thank you for having me, although I ordered an espresso here, not a cappuccino.
That's okay.
But thank you very much for that.
That's okay. That's okay. And we're talking about, I think, nothing special today. I think that's the wonderful thing. So we're really trying to cover everything and nothing. So that's the wonderful thing. And
it's like the world these days. When you talk to people about what is the main topic these days, everyone's like, I don't know. There's so much out there. I exactly have no idea where to focus.
Yeah. And I think that this uncertainty, this starting into something without having a detailed plan, I think that was the mission for this podcast for me. And I think there's probably only a few people that accept that, but I know you do. So I'm really delighted to step into it. But I want to start with a traditional way of starting Cappuccino with HR. So the first thing, probably if these three people out there that don't know you, could you please quickly introduce yourself in 2 sentences?
My name is Ali Mahlodji. I was born in Iran. I then came to Europe when I was 3 years old, and my life was something that prepared me for today. I was a school dropout, had more than 40 jobs. I stuttered. Then I turned all of these obstacles in my life into learnings and started a startup more than 10 years ago for job orientation for kids because I never had orientation. It turned out it was also a very good business idea in the field of employer branding. It started to grow to 5 countries, more than 70 employees, more than 600 B2B customers. Before that, I was a line manager in the corporate world. I worked at Siemens. After that, I worked for Sun Microsystems as a manager. Then I turned becoming a teacher, then becoming a startup entrepreneur. And today what I do is I give all of this stuff as a mentor in the field of leadership and entrepreneurship. So back to the people. I develop leaders, I make keynotes, or I'm writing books, I'm an investor sometimes. So I try to become my own superhero.
Very good. And what was the moment, Ali, when you realized that your story, your personal story, could be a gift for others? A gift in the meaning of making them curious or keeping them curious, making them bold and brave?
I think it was a realization which was not a nice thing. It happened to me because when I was at Sun Microsystems, there was the financial crisis worldwide. And the company was, thinking about the numbers of the company, it was dark red. And the idea was selling the company to I think it was IBM or Oracle, and turned out Oracle was the new owner one day. But what I had at the time was a burnout syndrome. I was sick for more than 9 months because everyone inside of the company was fighting against each other and so on. And I found out that my whole story, from being a refugee kid, a stutterer, having no idea what to do, which maybe today is an inspiration for others, at that time it was something I was ashamed of. It was something like, I was the refugee, I was the school dropout. I don't want to talk about this part of my life. Then you have a burnout, you're sitting at home, you have no idea what to do, you're talking to a therapist. And this guy, the therapist, asked me about my dreams. And I still remember how I told him, what kind of dreams? What are you talking about? I want to go back into the business world, back to the tech world, back to Sun Microsystems. And he told me, this bullshit brought you to that point. You're 27 years old and you have no idea what your dreams are. And I'm like, no. And he told me, go home, write a list with at least 5 dreams and come back. And I was like, we're paying this guy, this therapist, to fix me. And he's giving me these answers. And it took me a few weeks and some sleepless nights and a lot of tears to realize what my dreams were. And it turned out I want to start something on my own company. I want to teach people, coach people. I want to work with kids and so on. Because during these therapy sessions and all of this stuff, I realized that everything in my life that happened to me was there to show me why I'm here. And I always tried to fix into the system. I tried to fit into the system. I tried to fix myself to be the person others wanted me to. And to be honest, when I was a kid and a school dropout, I managed to finish school and also university in the field of computer science. And so I saw when I love something, I can be very good. But then my thought was, okay, and now I need to fit into the system. I need to go to work for a corporate. And I tried everything. I can tell you, Rudi, I tried everything to fit in. But I was spit out of the system. And this was the phase in my life. It was 2009 when I realized maybe the stuff that happened to me is there to teach it to others. And so based on this thing, I realized I want to create something for kids and so on. And then the new Ali journey started. But I think it was 2009 where I realized it doesn't make any sense to be ashamed of my story because it turned out that I do not fit into any systems out there. So I have to create my own. And I need to teach people how to work at this bridge between who am I, who should I be, and what is I want from life. So it was, I think, 2009 where I realized telling yourself a lie is the wrong way to go.
How has your relationship with failure changed over time?
It is still that I don't want to have any failures in my life. It's not that I wake up in the morning, I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. But, you know, when you have two little kids, I have two daughters, 2 and 6. And of course they make mistakes. But it's like every mistake in the world or every failure, you don't do it because you want to. It is always when you start to walk a new way. And so when you do something for 10 years and you have inside of an organization, you have processes and some procedures, of course, failures shouldn't happen because you create systems to avoid the stuff. But whenever you go a new path, you need to understand that every new step you're walking is a new thing. It's like you want to learn how to ski. And when you've never done it before, you will crash the floor. But this is part of the process. And every time I try something new, what I do is I forgive myself much, much easier than before. Because I know, Ali, this is the first time you're doing it, and you have two choices. Either you wait for the right moment and for someone to tell you how to do, but you know it's not going to work. Because if something has worked for Rudi, it doesn't mean it's working for me. I have to walk that path. And when a mistake happens today, my relationship with the mistake is still shit. It happened, but the relationship to myself is much, much better. I don't try to blame myself. I'm like, okay, Ali, you had no idea that it will turn out this way. Try to learn out of it. Stand up very quickly and try it again. And this is like, and you know, you yourself, you're a father. You saw your kids hitting the floor while trying to walk around.
Of course.
And this is something that also happens to me when I try to learn walking in a new direction. So my relationship with mistakes is I hate them. I don't like them, but I forgive myself much, much faster.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I mean, you are working since many, many years now with youngsters and young adults and growing kids. What do you think is for them probably the biggest hurdle currently if they need to become adults?
To be honest, it is that when they take a look at other adults, how they are living their life, it's not something which brings joy. Sometimes when people ask me, how can we empower young people? I'm like, don't bring me the kids, bring me the parents. Bring me the politicians, bring me media. How we are now these days talking about the world. How we are talking to each other, how we are dealing with each other when it comes to problems, to uncertainty is critical, not only for us as citizens of Europe and so on, also which kind of picture we are showing to the kids. And whenever someone tells me, oh, there are some kids which are very difficult, I'm like, it's not the kid. They were born perfect. I want to talk to their environment. So the most important thing, what I try to tell kids is sometimes that if you want inspiration from your life, choose wisely. Maybe because your parents or other people around you, they don't like their jobs, doesn't mean that maybe you can't have an amazing job for yourself, and so on. When you have people around yourself who are thinking about the world in a very bad way, take a look to find out who are the people who are empowering you. So what I tell kids is, the future is not your past. And adults are not better than you. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all of these problems these days and the fights and the wars. It's not the kids that are fighting, it's adults. And it's the leaders of the world these days. Take a look at Davos, what just happened there. It's like you have some people on stage who are very childish in a not good way. telling each other how to rule the world.
Yeah.
And the thing is, so 50% of my time I work with the kids and the other 50% with leaders. And sometimes people ask me, what do you tell the leaders? And I'm like, the same thing. Everything you do is a picture for your employees, how to deal with the world these days.
As you are working 50% with this group and the other group, do you sometimes get the impression that they have changed places in their behaviors?
The thing is, there is this German artist, musician, Herbert Grönemeyer.
Yeah.
And one of his most famous songs is
Kinder an die Macht.
so Kinder an die Macht, it means so give the power to the kids.
Yeah.
And I remember I loved the song. And I think I was 25, 24. I was working in a company and someone told me, the song is stupid. How should kids know what to do? And when I take a look at my kids, when they see that someone is in need, they go there and they care.
Yeah.
When they realized what we are doing to animals, for example, in the mass production of food, they were like, Dad, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
When they see what we are doing with nature, with the sea, with the pollution, they're like, Dad, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
So maybe it's a good thing, putting the power in the hands of kids.
Yeah.
I think that the future is we need leaders and kids next to each other, because we're always forgetting the perspective of the future. And the thing is, people sometimes ask me, how come you work with kids and leaders? And my answer is always the same. They're both the same. These leaders, there was a time when they were kids. They forgot.
Yeah.
And when I help kids to have the right mindset and to question everything for themselves, we are going to have adults of the future who are future ready. And most of the leaders, they forgot that the most important thing in the world is to stay playful. Because the game is changing. But when you stay playful, you can act with every change in the outside world. And so, I think the stuff needs to be replaced in some ways.
I mean, we're currently living in really tough times. And I mean, honestly spoken, I mean, there's economic uncertainty, there's technology rising in a tempo that we probably never had before with AI.
This is true.
And we have new things coming up. And I had a podcast today in the morning where we're talking about neuroinclusion and neurodiversity, because I think it's a kind of a thing which we probably rely on, and we have to take care about this kind of stuff. And I think if you put that together, what do you think is the most important thing for leaders in companies that they need to take care if you want to get it right on these three perspectives? So business-wise, of course, because I mean, overcoming crisis is very important. You need to understand business, you need to understand technology, and you need to understand humans. How good are we in Europe, or probably in all the places that you know, if it comes to manage this? Because I still have the impression that we're working in silos.
This is true. When you take a look at large companies, also small ones, and you take a look at the KPIs, and you talk to the CTO, you talk to CMO, to the CSO, to the CEO, you see that maybe they have a common vision officially, but when you take a look at the system of the KPIs in the different directions, you see they don't work together. They work most of the time against each other. And they have no idea what is the KPI of my colleague there and so on. So as long as you have KPIs who are working against each other, you have no chance to work outside of the silos together. This is the one thing. Yeah. But the second thing is, what I found out in organizations is there is a lack of truth, of being honest. It's amazing that people, so human beings have a sense of bullshit. They understand when their bullshit is being talked. And what I see in organizations these days is people see that AI is coming, and they know when you're in an organization which is at the stock market, and they are, and the first thing they can do is to cut costs because AI is doing it. They are going to do it, but no one talks about it. People are seeing it. You're sitting in an organization and you are training AI. Yeah. Why? Because someone wants the AI to do your stuff. And the problem is, you can develop new skills. You can be part of the journey, but organizations are not developing their people. Yeah. When I go to organizations and I'm like, how are you developing your people? They're developing people like in the last 20 years. They are trying to iterate the job to become yourself plus one. But what to do? But you need human beings who can iterate themselves into me today plus 1,000, 10x. It's all about a kind of personal development which is based on the newest facts about psychology and so on. And when you go to organizations, like, you see that AI is coming, you see that the business is changing, but but the human beings inside have the same personality like 10 years ago. What are you going to do? And sometimes they are shocked because there's a lack of honesty. Also, when you take a look at the political system, no one is talking about what AI is really going to do to us as society. No one. When you take a look, everyone talks about the migrants and maybe raising, I don't know, the income for some people for 20 euros. And I'm like, this is not going to be the biggest problem of us. We're losing our kids. We're losing the people in the organization with mental health issues and so on. And when you take a look at the companies these days, you need to understand your business, but the business is changing. So to be honest, everything you have known from your business from the last 20 years is not true anymore. This is the first thing. The second thing is you have to understand that you don't have control in a lot of ways, because you have someone like Trump. And when he wakes up in the morning, he's like, just raise the tariffs 100%. You're doomed. And the thing is, you talked about a technology, you talked about leadership and so business. So I think you talked about business, a technology, and the humans. I would just want to say something which is maybe not that popular. Until AI is not there where we think it can be, you need the human beings more than ever. But not like there is something I expect from you as an object of my expectations. It's like, how can I empower my people in a way that they can surf on the waves outside? So we have to go away from teaching skills to teaching awareness. And based on the new awareness, people can decide what kind of skills do I need. At the moment, we try to put people into development programs where we have no idea if it fits their potential or not. And this is something we need to do. So we need to start with the humans. And we need to train them in a very good way that they can use the tools of AI and so on, because only then you can tackle the changes in business. And I think this is a triangle, which is very fruitful. But at the moment, we're doing the wrong stuff. We're just focused on cutting costs and so on. But you need, for the next level, human beings in your organization who are aware to change directions also themselves.
Where do you think should we start in preparing youngsters and employees and people out there
being honest
for jobs that never where we honestly don't know how they will look like? Because I mean, it's a kind of I think we are talking about jobs that nobody has an idea how they will look like in the near future.
We need to be honest. I was invited a few months ago at a conference. There were a lot of lawyers, people who take care of your taxes, for example, were also sitting there. Very traditional jobs where you know that these days AI companies are working on these stuff. You have an idea now. I think it's called, how is it called? It's called Harvey, which is your it's your lawyer in your pocket. It is an AI. And you're sitting in front of these people, you're talking to these people, and I try to be honest. I told them what is going on these days. And if you're not a brand and people don't trust you because of your advice, they will replace you like this.
Of course.
And there were people sitting there who were like, no, you need the human touch, you need this, you need that. And I told them, guys, there is a lack of honesty in this room. If you want to prepare yourself, be rock bottom honest. It's not that you're painting the future in a dark color. It's not that. No. Just be honest what is going on. Be aware of what is going on around you. And this is the thing I also would tell the kids. I would tell the kids everything someone else is telling you about the future is not true. Because there is no one who was there. The only thing which counts is you can do this. You're good enough. Take a look at everything you've learned. You learned the mother language out of nothing without having someone to teach it to you. If you were born in China, you would speak that language. If you, with your brain, you were born in Italy, you would talk Italian. How come? You're a genius. You learned walking around by crashing the floor 100 times. You know how to deal with mistakes.
Yeah.
What I would do with young kids, I would tell them, forget school.
Yeah.
School is a place where they are taking the light out of you. You're learning between the age of 6 and 18. You learn, someone is teaching you how not to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
someone teaches you that for 45 minutes, someone else is telling you what to learn, in which way, which format is the best one. You're not choosing it. Someone else is telling you. And then at the end of the year or during the year, someone is giving you a test, an exam, and then they will tell you you have 4 mistakes. But no one will tell you you have 30 right answers.
Mm-hmm.
This means your brain is trained to become a person who is always lacking, that there's always a lack of something. People are putting you into a place like an object of their expectations. And after school, you're in this world out there. Everything is happening at the same time. You need relations. You need to deal with mistakes, but they took it away from you. And when you have this kind of honesty, not in a bad way, just because you want the parents and the teachers and the politicians to understand what we're doing now, is we're putting kids into a system, and they will be the unemployed people of the future. What we're doing now is we are producing unemployed human beings who don't know how to deal with the world. And there are schools which are amazing. Not the private schools. I saw also public schools where they talk about projects. They talk about relationships. They show the kids you're good enough. You are not the stuff which is on your exam. You are much, much more than this. If you do it like this, it's like in the organizations where you empower people to see their light, you will have people who can deal with the world out there. But at the moment, the biggest problem is a lack of honesty. No one is honest. And when you start to be honest, people are like, oh, you're talking about the dystopia. I'm like, no. If the house is burning, okay, and you're not calling someone who's doing it, then you will stand in front of a ruin.
Yeah, it's a fool. Yeah, a fool.
Yeah,
it's foolish.
It's a fact.
Yeah, it's fucking.
And this is what we're not doing at the moment, where I think people are... They're talking about hope without taking action. And hope is always something that works, but only if you take action for it.
But how could we step out of this kind of victim's role? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a victim's role. We are all poor, and everybody's treating us bad at the moment. And how could we step out? What does it need? And what do you think could we give to youngsters as a kind of a motivational information that they're really stepping up? And I mean, honestly, the world is a beautiful place.
It's a wonderful place.
It's a wonderful
it's
place.
An amazing place.
I think we are. I think it's driven by bad news. Honestly, I mean, there's so many bad news.
It's because the business model of the media is bad news. It's the business model. It's very simple. If you understand this, the business model of social media is to trigger you with emotional stuff because then you stick to the thing. Simple.
Very simple.
How to step out of it? You need to bring people to a point where they have awareness of what is going on. Do you see the patterns? Do you understand the system behind the system? If you do this with kids, young people, they're like, whoa, no one told me. Then they have the chance to change. But what is much, much more important is change the environment. What I always tell kids is surround yourself not with 100 people, surround yourself with 2 people. Who see the world like you, who want to have a better life, who demand for more.
But would that mean we need to should step out of social media? Because I mean, I stepped out. I mean, I told you, I think I stepped out of social media because I really got, especially with Instagram, I personally got the impression that I'm a loser.
Yeah.
It showed me.
So you are. Based on social media, we are all losers.
You're not rich enough. You're not beautiful enough. You're not. You're not slim enough. Your body is getting old. You're getting fat.
Everything you just mentioned, it's funny, from a marketer's perspective, because before I was in the corporate world, and after the corporate world, as a teacher, I was also working in marketing. Everything you just mentioned, behind everything of this thing you said, there is a product you can buy. Behind all of this stuff. You want to get rich? There is a course for it.
Yeah, of course.
There's an online course. You feel fat? No problem. There's a pill for it. When you understand that social media is a place which wants to sell you products, this is a business model, selling ads, selling product, then you understand that you're the product. I don't tell people to step out of it. I tell kids that this is not a place where kids should be. It's like giving a cigarette to your hand and like, you're 12 years old. We'll find out how you can deal the best with this cigarette. No, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't give drugs to kids, but we know from science that social media is doing the same harm to your brain like drugs.
Yeah.
In my case, I had to protect myself from social media. I bought myself a light phone.
Yeah.
It's from, I think, a company from Norway or from Sweden.
Yeah.
On this thing, you have a podcast app.
Yeah.
You have SMS. Yeah. You can call someone, and there is something like Google Maps on it.
Okay.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's done. And a notes app.
Okay. Yeah.
It's done. And I use this stuff when I'm with my kids, with my family, because I need to protect myself. You need to understand the best scientists in the world these days are not working in science in a university. They're working for Meta, they're working for TikTok, and so on. If you understand stuff like this, you need to be very aware of social media. And what I tell people is go on social media actively. Don't be the consumer. Communicate your point of view about the world, but don't use it as a
information
tool for
channel. Gathering information.
Don't use it as an information channel.
Yeah.
The problem with young people is you can't tell it to them because it's like, oh, someone tells me that I shouldn't eat the chocolate. Now I want to have more chocolate.
Yeah.
But you can't tell adults, use it. Take into action, bring your point of view into the world. If you think that this is bullshit what these people are saying, tell it to the world because there is a lack of people these days who are honest. There is a massive amount of people who are blaming social media and all of these online coaches who tell you that do and so on, but they are communicating from a point of a victim. And do you know the drama social triangle of drama?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Where you have someone who has done something bad to you, then you are the victim, and the triangle works only when you have a helper who tells you, yeah, you're a poor guy. You know what? These people, they are the bad guys, but I'm the solution. Yeah. And when you understand that you're in a drama triangle like this, the most important thing you need to do is to cut out the helpers. Because they are the people who are keeping you small. It's not the bad thing that is happening in the world. For example, the bad thing in the world maybe is Trump. Yeah. Maybe it's the financial crisis. Maybe it's the climate change thing. If you want to take action, be aware who is surrounding you, who tells you, yeah, you can't do anything. Yeah. You're so poor. Yeah. And a lot of times it's the media. Yeah. A lot of time it's other people on social media. So surround yourself with people who want to take action. Be very careful of social media. After 6 p.m., don't use it because your brain is tired. You have no chance. The algorithm is always going to win. Yeah. The morning when you wake up before 9 o'clock in the morning,
don't use it.
Don't use it. You are not prepared to do it. Yeah. And always give you some time frame. So sometimes when I use it, I think I have for my digital stuff on my phone, I have, I think, a time limit of, on social media, I think 45 minutes. Okay. And then it runs out.
Per day or per week?
Yeah, per day. Per day. Because sometimes you need it. Sometimes something happens. Yeah, sometimes like someone from my team is like, hey, on LinkedIn, someone wrote you and so on. And then you will want to answer it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, to jump to another topic. I mean, you have been in front of, I don't know, 10, 15, 20, 100,000 young people.
With young people, more than 700,000 kids worldwide. Yeah.
Do you remember what was the message, if you brought it up in your speech and the keynote, really brought sparkling eyes?
I can tell you immediately. It was a few years ago. I was working with kids where society would say they are underprivileged. These were kids who had a lot of mental health problems. The parents at home, it was not the best environment, so they were in an environment where people took care of them. It was a development center for young people, and they were all full of joy and spark, but they were not good in school. They had mental health problems, and at home there was no one who was taking care of them. So the kids were, I think, something between 14, 15, 16, and there were 80 kids. I worked with them, and I came to this place, and I had prepared a presentation, and there was no beamer. Okay. Because they had no money for that. Yeah. So they borrowed the beamer from another company on the other side and so on. Yeah. I was there. I talked to them. I told them a lot of things. And after that, there was a Q&A session. And I still remember there was this boy. He was always, he was sitting there with open eyes and he was totally in it. And after that, he said to me, Ali, you said that the most important thing in life is to live your dreams.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's true. And he was like, what if the biggest dream I have in my life, what if I can't accomplish it because, he was like, what if your dream is amazing, but you can't accomplish it because your body is not supporting you?
Mhm.
And I found out he was talking about himself and maybe something was wrong with his body.
Yes.
Maybe there was a disability.
Yeah.
I was not aware to see it.
Yeah.
But he asked me in a way where I knew, okay,
Yeah.
it's him.
Yeah.
So the question is what to do if your dream isn't possible? And I was like, shit, what should I tell him? And don't ask me why, but out of nowhere, something hit me. And I opened my mouth
Mhm.
and I said to him, you know what? If the one dream is not working, the one you want, choose another one. You're full of dreams. And he was like, oh, it was like,
Okay.
until this moment, he was just with his head into one direction.
Yeah.
If this dream doesn't work, what happens?
Yeah.
And I found out that a lot of people told him, you know what? If your dream is not working, poor boy, okay, then this life is not going to be amazing for you. And I was like, choose another one.
Yeah.
I bet you have a lot of
Yeah.
ideas. And he was like, this is the thing I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And you saw this sparkle in his eyes. And I'm like, jackpot. I
Jackpot.
was like, wherever this answer came from,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Because I've never thought about it.
Yeah.
Because in my whole life, I also realized whenever I had an idea and I was working on it and it didn't turn out
Mhm.
to be my future,
Yeah.
I always switched.
Yeah.
I always went to the place where my sparkling got bigger in my
Mhm.
eyes. And I told it to the boy and he was like, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, this was wonderful. This was really
cool.
wonderful.
Have you ever heard about this guy?
A year later,
Yeah.
some of the people who worked with these kids wrote me that on that day I changed a few lives, and
Yeah.
some of these kids really started to learn new stuff in their life because I told them,
cool.
you know,
Very cool.
when you feel like an error in the world, it's only because you need to create your own path.
Yeah.
If you don't fit into an existing path, just means. And the thing was, I also showed them a lot of examples of other people
Mhm.
who were from part of society. They were born to be mistakes in the world.
Yeah.
They were born to be someone who's not successful.
Yeah.
And I showed them that they found their own ways.
Yeah.
And I think that helped them. And yeah, of course, I do get a lot of feedback. So a few days ago, someone on the street talked to me and told me, 13 years ago, you were in my school. Just wanted to say thank you. And I was like, what?
Very
He was
cool.
like, yeah, I wanted to quit school, but I just wanted to tell you I just finished my university in the field of software engineering.
Very cool.
It's the thing I finished. I was, a few weeks ago, I was in a cafe with my wife
Mhm.
and I wanted to pay and the waiter told me, thank you so much for everything you do. I was like, what? And he's like, there was a time when you helped my father.
Mhm.
He was working at Siemens.
Mhm.
I didn't believe in him. And now he's in another company. He's not the CEO, he's the CMO.
Mhm.
He always told us that he had this one colleague one day
Mhm.
who changed his life forever. And I was like, oh, wow, thank you. So, yeah, it's wonderful when you see that you can help people changing their perspectives.
And I think I mean I've many times stated this, and it's provocative, probably in a way, because I always said, I mean, I think we can change directions in our life immediately.
Totally. It
We just need
takes
to-
you 1
we-
second.
It takes you 1 second.
One
you can,
moment.
You can do it every single second if you
Yeah.
like, but you have to live with consequences. Of course, that's part of the game. That's part
Totally,
of the system.
totally right. Totally right.
But I think at the end of the day, we should not stay in these victim roles, and we should not be the victims of Trump and all the others there. So I think I think we could control the way we want to go, and we could steer it ourselves. I think be the
The
captain
thing
of
is,
the boat.
what is the alternative? And
There's no-
sometimes when people are stuck in a situation, I always ask them, what is the good thing about your problem? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're telling me since 4 or 5 years, you hate your job. This is not okay. Your relationship sucks.
Yeah.
You're telling me since 5 years.
Yeah.
What is the good thing about the problem?
Yeah.
Because if there wouldn't be a good thing,
Yeah.
you wouldn't stay.
Yeah.
You know, the relationship sucks, but we know each other. I know the fights. You know, I hate my job, but I do get a payment at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And being on vacation for 5 weeks is also okay. Then I'm like, okay, That's not only a bad thing, but also a good thing. Yeah, you're right. And I'm like, okay. So the thing is, I think there is no alternative to it. And I love the work of Viktor Frankl, who during the time of the Nazis, who was caught by the Nazis and was in an environment which was not the best place in the world. And he developed this sense of a bigger meaning, of a bigger why. It was Nietzsche and it was Frankl who always said, it's not the circumstances which are affecting your life. It's how you see it and if there is a lack of meaning. And we have a world where you never had to have a meaning in the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Everything was there.
Yeah, of course.
And the meaning of life was having a good job, retiring one day, until then buying an apartment or a house, maybe having kids, a nice car, and maybe planting a tree. This was the purpose of life. Because society, the business world, the economy world told us this. This is a good life. This has changed in the last 10 years. There is no place where you can work where someone can tell you, if you do everything right, you will have a job in the next 10 years. There is no place anymore where the political system is taking care of you.
Do you think that we are a little bit oversaturated?
Totally. And isn't it crazy? We have the most social account ever in the history of human mankind for one person, but we never felt that alone. We never had an access to so many informations about health, but we never had so many mental health problems and also health issues on the body. We never had so many fat people out there. We need a pill or something like this to help us in this way. We have the human body, the human system is not made for an infinite system. But the business world is like growing and growing and growing. Everyone tells you on social media in the world, you need to become better. And I always say, becoming better is amazing, but what about becoming better 1% and not 100%? When I had my startup, I still remember we had a CFO and we created this growth plan. And I was the CEO. I was like, this is the growth plan and we need more sales. And after the meeting, we had this growth plan. We showed it to the investors and we're like, amazing. And I don't know what happened. But on the next day, I said to our CFO, why do we need to double every year? And he was like, what do you mean? I said to him, the plan is okay, but why do we need to grow 100% more than last year? Why? Because our business angels told us they don't need this growth. They're happy with it. And he was like, because investors love it. I was like, but our investors told us they don't need that growth. They're also happy with 10% growth or something like this. And he was like, this is the way how you should do it. And I'm like, who says that? So I think what we have these days is we need to question some of the belief systems we have. Human beings are not made for this kind of growth. When you take a look at some of the richest people in the world, they are crazy. They are mentally not healthy. And we know it. They take drugs, they do this, they do that. Peter Thiel is talking about the Antichrist. Like that, and you're like, what are you talking about? Elon Musk talks about the right wing, the left wing. One day he's helping someone, next day he wants to destroy you. You're like, and this is a world where growth is out of control. And what we need sometimes is, I'm not against technology. I'm a computer scientist by heart. I started it. Okay,
I know.
I love technology, but the thing is, we need a world where people can adapt to the world. And now we have no chance to adapt to the new world. It's too fast. It's too much. We lost our souls and our brains to social media. Now AI is coming. And AI is on the one side, everyone tells us it's there to cure cancer and stuff like this. On the other side, who has its hand on it. And when you take a look at OpenAI, they started with ads. When they know how you think and what your behavior is, and AI knows it better than you, they can sell everything to you.
Of course.
When Meta starts to put everything into AI, it's because they want to have the next marketplace.
Of course.
And this is something you need to be aware of. The thing which makes me very optimistic about the future is that more and more people are like, is this the world we wanted? Because people told us with our mobile phones, when you work from everywhere with your laptop and mobile phones, then you have time for the right stuff. And you're like, who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? People are stressed more than ever. And this is something we're going to realize these days. We have schools and kids who are like, okay, we want to do this experiment 3 weeks without social media. We have, I saw meetings and places where people like, when you go there, you put your mobile phone somewhere else. For the next 3 days, we're offline. So you see that there is a trend coming up. And this is something where we need to figure out how to deal with it.
And I mean, I was working for product organizations for many, many years. So I was really had the pleasure to really work with probably, in my point of view, most beautiful products like Bang & Olufsen and Ericsson Mobile. So
my first phone was a Ericsson phone. I loved it. I
really love this kind of working with products that the Museum of Modern Art. I met some of the designers personally. So it was really fantastic. But at the end of the day, what I recognized along the way, and I did this for 20, 25 years, I really recognized if a product doesn't bring, at the end of the day, it doesn't bring value to humans, it's useless.
It's totally useless.
And I think I have the same kind of opinion on AI. I think if AI is not bringing value to us as humans and people, it probably will die, should die, or honestly, I don't see a chance that it will survive. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't make sense for humans, you can forget it.
True. It's what Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, in an interview, he said, if we don't show people that AI is really useful, we're going to have problems because people are questioning the amount of energy it sucks, the amount of water it is using in the cooling systems and so on. So we have a climate change problem, and then we have created these technological systems which are crazy for resources of the planet. And he said we need to show people that it's useful. So if one of the biggest tech CEOs in the world is asking this question, we need to understand that also these guys found out something is wrong. Something is wrong in the whole system. And to be honest, AI was like, wow, I have these powerful tools. And then we realized with AI, if you use it without being conscious, you're losing part of your brain. You have this brain rot system these days. So we have enough science that shows us if you don't teach people how to deal with AI, you're losing these human beings. And, you know, I was always also a product guy. I love products. And the thing is about Ericsson, for example, you had these mobile phones. You paid money for a mobile phone. And they told you, we're selling you a mobile phone. They told you what you're buying. When you go to social media, when you go to AI these days, they're selling you something which is not true. Because the product, it's you or something behind it. And when you buy an iPhone, when you're smart, you know you're not buying an iPhone, you're buying the Apple ecosystem. Because you have iCloud and then you have the other thing, and it works best with Apple Watch. This is something people understand. But what is happening with social media and AI and so on, you're not telling people the truth. Hey, it's free, but it's your attention. And you're not using it because you love it too. You're using it because we programmed it in a way that makes you addicted to it. This is the real story. If they would tell it to people and then I will use it, then it's a fair game.
That's a fair deal.
That's a fair deal. And it's true back in the days, I think when it came to products, it was a much, much more fair deal. You paid for what you got. To be honest.
That's definitely true.
And these days, and you're buying a car. You're buying a car and you think, okay, it's self-driving, it's doing this and this, and then someone's like, no, you need, there's a subscription if you want to have your Spotify on it. And you're like, but I bought the car. Why do I need a fucking subscription? This is the business model. And you're like, I bought the car, I want to have the Spotify on it. It's only 9 euros a month. And if you want to have Google Maps, you want to have this, you want to have the download. And you're like,
I think I installed in the meantime, I installed 25 AI apps on my smartphone. And I deleted them immediately after I saw, okay, this is already a subscription model.
Exactly.
And 1 minute after you have downloaded it, you
Yeah,
get the
you-
subscription bill,
Exactly.
and then the 7 free days, seven
Yeah.
free days trial. So
Yeah.
I really hate this. Yeah.
I also hate it. And I don't know anyone who's like, oh wow, there is 7 days free and then it's 49 euros a month, and you're like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
So what happened to the internet? What happened to good business?
But to turn it into to
I
the
love
other,
it.
to turn it in the other direction now. I mean, I was thinking heavily about. I mean, at the end of the day, I think mental health, and we are really suffering as a society. We're really suffering because we, at the end of the day, we don't see the daily work. So what we have done during the day disappears somewhere in the cloud. So we are sitting in front of our computer. We're sitting in front of the laptop. We are just watching the lower right corner because okay, there could be an email, and then we could react on something.
Exactly.
And in the end of the day, we walk home and we are a little bit unsatisfied because honestly, if we question ourselves, what have we done the whole day today?
Where's my impact?
Where's my impact? I mean, if you look back on some decades when you were a farmer, you were driving out to your field with the tracker, and then at the end of the day, you could turn your head and say, okay, I've achieved a lot today. Yeah, probably more than I had planned or less than I had planned, but there was a kind of an immediate result measurement possible. If we now talk about AI, if we now talk about which jobs could easily be replaced by AI, which one couldn't? I mean, a question if a plumber could be replaced or an electric engineer could be replaced immediately by AI.
The next wave of AI is robotics. If you have good robots.
Yeah, probably yes, but I mean, it's probably takes some time. But I mean, it's much easier to probably replace the lawyer today and the bookkeeper.
Exactly.
Do you think it could be a new fairness for our society if we do it right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, childcare is really paid catastrophically. I mean,
everything which
hospitality is paid.
Every job with a lot of purpose is
underpaid.
Is underpaid. Yeah, it's totally underpaid. So when you take so the less meaning you have in your job, the more you get paid. Yeah. Take a look at a lot of companies out there who are creating consumer products. Yeah. For example, in the field of beauty. Yeah. When you work there in marketing and so on, they are paying you a shit of money, which is totally okay. But they call it compensation package. Yeah. Okay, you get a compensation package. So the question about a compensation package is, why do they need to compensate you?
What are they compensating?
What are they compensating? So this is something when I talk to the companies, and I work with a lot of them, they're like, what? And I am like, yeah, you call it compensation package. Why? Yeah. It's a good question. I'm like, yeah, because there's a lack of meaning. Yeah. And it's not to say this is good or bad, but in the world we have, also you mentioned fairness. I want to be honest. If the same society was not able to manage fairness in the last decades, if the same society was not able to manage fairness after COVID, during COVID we were like, oh wow, there are people in the healthcare system. Clap, 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 clap. COVID was gone, we forgot. Okay? If we never managed to have this system of fairness, the question is, why should we be able to do it now? Yeah. The thing is, when you take a look at how societies are changing when there is poverty, you see that the rich, for example, or the government, they should be aware of bringing people to that position. When you know that technology is coming and organizations want to use it to make more profit. Yeah. At the moment, it's like, are people over profit? Is profit over people? It's like vice versa. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. Yeah. But with AI, you're putting profit first in the business field. Sure. So that's you're losing the people. When you lose people, maybe for sometimes they can't do anything, but they will go on the streets. They will fight the rich. They will vote for parties you don't want to have them some power. Yeah. And if I would be a billionaire these days, I would do anything to create an environment of fairness because people are coming after me. Yeah. So I think we will have fairness, but based on the wrong reasons. But I don't care. As long as there is fairness, there's fairness. Yeah, but if you're smart and you have power and you have a lot of money and you don't want the people to burn your houses, I would say create a fair environment. Because when something happens to society where most of society will be affected of it, you will feel the threat of people. And when for example, you want to see the power of people, take a look at Iran these days. Yeah. It's not that the people are in power, the whole regime is still stronger and beating up the people, but people can shaken up the whole country. People have the power to do something. if something in the world affects all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And with AI, what is happening these days, and with climate change and the political systems and so on, it is going to affect a lot of people, the majority of people. And I think we're going to have a very, very fair system because there is no alternative for the people in power, to be honest.
Yeah.
Also for everyone who wants to have a good life. I know a lot of rich people who are like, hey, yeah, we need to change the system.
Yeah.
We need to tax the rich.
Yeah.
It's one way for fairness, for
Of
example.
course.
And therefore, from my point of view, Austria, for example, or Europe, the heart of Europe, is an amazing place which shows the world that business and fairness to society and for the people, it is possible at the same time, at a very good level of life.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, as we're coming to the end, I want to raise two questions.
Of course.
Probably may ask you to give a tip, one tip to leaders out there. What is your one tip that you would give to leaders? And I would also ask you one tip for people, because what I really see sometimes is that we are passionate leaders. We expect a lot from them. At the end of the day, they have to live with all the uncertainties. They have to deal with the uncertainties as well. So I think bashing always one side and they are responsible. And I think it's also kind of a question of self-responsibility. So I would ask you to give one tip.
You just gave the answer.
No. Yeah.
So one tip to leaders would be, are you the leader you would look for in situations like these? Imagine you're an employee and you're watching yourself. Are you the person who is acting in that way?
Would you follow yourself more or less?
Exactly. Would you follow yourself? This is the first thing I would say. And based on the answer you're giving yourself, you know what to do.
And for employees or
for employees, what I would tell them is there's no one out there who is going to lead you. No one out there at the moment can lead you if you don't do it yourself. Maybe you're working somewhere, but you need to understand that you're the CEO of your own life. It's not your leader, it's not your boss, it's not your CEO who's responsible for it, because they don't have their answers to that. So you need to see yourself as a project. Stay there, work the best you can, but understand that there is no one who's responsible for you. There was also no one in the last decades who was responsible for you, but you had the story because the system worked. There was no Trump, there was no Putin war, there was no stuff like this, but now everything shows you maybe it's better to become the CEO of your life, no matter if you work for someone else or you start your own thing. It doesn't, it's just a technical thing.
That's a good one.
But be the CEO of your own life, and CEO in this case means the chief empowerment officer of your own life.
That's a really good one. I think being the CEO of their own life, I think, is probably the answer.
It's
probably the solution as well. I think it's uncomfortable because you can't blame someone else.
It's uncomfortable when you're alone. When it's also one thing I would say to the leaders and to the employees: find a peer group which is also on that part of the journey. For leaders, I would say, don't try to be alone. Find other leaders who know we need a new way of management, of leadership, and so on. And to employees, I would say, screen your environment. Are there people who think like you? And try to spend time with other people who understand, I want to be the CEO of my life. Very simple. Don't do it alone. If you realize you want to do this and you're alone, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's definitely true. What I would like to do at the end is a quick round of this or that, if it's okay for you.
Of course.
So I would start with some words that I throw towards you and ask you for a quick answer.
And I tell you A or B, this or that. Okay. Okay.
So purpose or performance?
Fuck. Sorry. Performance is nothing. And performance.
Performance. Human wisdom or AI efficiency?
Human wisdom.
Generational identity or universal leadership?
Universal leadership.
Deep focus or curious exploration?
A curious exploration.
Learning from mistakes or celebrating success?
Celebrating success, because there's a lack of it these days as humans.
self-leadership or organizational culture?
If it's done right, organizational culture.
Coolio. And the last thing, which is a question which I ask all my guests.
Okay.
If Aladdin with the magic lamp would show up at you now and would ask you for, you have one wish for free, what would it be? Could be a private or business related one.
If I had one wish, I would say, Aladdin, please put the consciousness into the brain and the heart of every human being so that they wake up one day and are like, what the hell? What kind of games are we playing? Guys, calm down. It's okay. In 100 years, we won't be alive on this planet. Just have some good time. So I would wish Aladdin to give consciousness back to human being, that they wake up.
Thank you so much. It was a really pleasure. Thank you very much, Ali, for being with me.
Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed the talk. It was a really marvelous conversation for me. It was really inspirational as expected.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for being with us. And dear audience, please stay tuned for what's coming up next. I hope you enjoy the episode by listening to it as much as I did during the recording. So goodbye, Ali. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I loved it. Thank you.